What are the roles and objectives of the Indian Air Force in a national security apparatus?
The Indian Air Force.
Yes, sir.
I spoke about the national objective and military objective and so on. Let's get on to what are the objectives of Indian Air Force in this whole game.
Yes, sir.
The Indian Air Force's objectives will be ensure defense of national airspace, achieve the desired national objective,
Yes,
which has been spelled out, prevent war through credible deterrence. I mean, if you have aeroplanes flying in the air, weaponized, obviously you will keep the other enemy aeroplanes out, hostilities out.
Yes.
So you're going to prevent that. HADR, aid to civil power, international peacekeeping, everything is objective of Indian Air Force. Promote regional, global peace and international stability. This is one of the objectives given to them. And finally, Atmanirbhar Bharat in the aerospace through indigenization.
yes.
Now, all this has been spelled out in the new IAF Doctrine, which is available on the net, 2022. And the doctrine talks about this, the objective of IAF, and it's known as IAP 2000-22. In this, the capability of the air arm, what is the capability? The reach is very important. You should be able to reach wherever required for this operation. Flexibility and versatility. You've gone for a particular mission, but suddenly required for another mission, you need not come back. You should have the flexibility of going on to that. That kind of versatility the Air Force should have. Mobility and responsiveness. You are mobile. Something is happening in the Eastern Theatre and something happens in the Western Theatre. If you go to move your assets from East to West, you should be able to do that. And quick response.
Yes.
Offensive lethality. You should have such kind of lethality in you that it actually gives you an effective thing. Trans-domain op capability. You are operating on land, you suddenly go into sea, you suddenly go into mountains. These are the capability of air arm. Now, we spoke about peacetime and wartime and no peace, no war. So, we'll go into that. For peacetime, we have operational readiness platform. There are aeroplanes which are always ready to take off if something comes in sight. You have combat air patrols. Some areas which are very, very fragile, you have aeroplanes flying over them. You know, a pilot is sitting in an aircraft every day, I'll say 24/7 in a cockpit, close to the cockpit to take off within 5 minutes.
Yes.
If you see something coming inside and he has to take off within 5 minutes, he go. Then you have surface to air guided weapons also. If anything is coming in, you can use your S-400, you can use your Akash, you can use any Spider. These are the missiles which are available. So many other missiles which are available with Indian air defense. So surface to air guided missile weapons will be used. Then you have deterrence, 24/7 defense cover.
Yes.
24/7 your borders are actually got radars on, and radars have weapons behind.
Yes, sir.
And anybody coming in which you don't want him to be inside that will be cautioned or taken down. Then you also have your nuclear air vectors.
So explain that a bit, sir. Nuclear air vector.
Okay, see, India is one of the few countries which can drop nuclear from ground, which can drop nuclear from the air, and which can also drop nuclear from the sea.
Yes, sir.
It's known as a triad. So the air nuclear vector is what the Indian Air Force will have. That means the aeroplanes carry the new nuclear weapons. So
yes, sir.
that's a deterrence. We are using it as a deterrence forever. Though we don't have a first use nuclear, only if somebody uses nuclear on us, and as per the situation, the leadership will decide at that moment.
Yes,
but that's a deterrence which you have. Then you have air diplomacy, UN peacekeeping, HADR, evacuation of Indians, international exercises, out-of-area contingencies, nation building, aid to civil powers, sustaining military powers. So we have these kind of peace air strategy which we go to peacetime. Now comes up the wartime.
Yes.
Wartime strategy is command and control of the air operations. Entire command and control of the air operations of the Air Force. Airspace surveillance and control is done by us. Air battle management is with us. The entire air communication is with us. Control of air. We have 3 types of control of air: supremacy, air superiority, and favorable air situation. Air supremacy means nobody else is there in the air. We are supreme. So we can do what we want to do from the air. Those kind of situations will not happen in our scenario in India.
Yes,
then you have air superiority. Okay, for this particular, we are superior to you, to the enemy in air at this particular portion. Even that is debatable. I will now talk about coordinated air operations. You know, Army is fighting war, Navy is fighting war. Both require an air support to come in. So we do air-land operations.
Yes, sir.
And we also do maritime air operations. In airland operations, we do air interdiction. That means we've gone inside with the army and drop them inside to help the army paratroopers to go in and take their action.
Yes.
Second is airstrike, battle airstrike. That means army is wanting us to do a strike ahead of them into the enemy territory through the air.
To
block the logistics support,
Yes, sir.
to break the bridges, to do whatever, that the army decides.
Yes, sir.
And army has attack helicopters and air force has attack helicopters and the capability of doing that particular kind of a thing, which happened in 71 and elsewhere. Then goes maritime air operations. These anti-shipping strikes. Navy also has aircraft carriers, but we just have about 1 or 2 aircraft carrier. Why I'm saying 1 or 2? Because one will always be on servicing and one is in the waters.
Yes, sir.
7,500 kilometers of coastal and such a vast 3 seas around you,
Yes, sir.
with Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea. So Navy will require some air capability to come in to destroy ships along with that, and then coastal strikes. So to go and do the coastal strike from where the enemy ships are coming in. So these kind of assistance the Air Force does for the Army and the Navy. Now, there are a lot of enabling operations. You have air mobility operations,
Yes,
wherein you can do para drop, you can do load drop, you can do weapons drop, you can do towing of the guns and so on. Now you have tow guns.
Yes, sir.
So all this the Air Force has to do. This is enabling an operation which is going on, though they're not effectively into war, but they're enabling operations. Then you have intelligence and surveillance reconnaissance. After intelligence, you now require aeroplanes which can control the entire air movement and also monitor the communication and the other spectrums which are there in the air. So you have AWACS, which actually controls the warfare from high above. Basically, you're carrying the radars up there. Radar has a particular range. Depending on the terrain and the capability of the radar, it could shoot 60 kilometers inside, 100 kilometers, 400. But as you keep taking the radar upwards, you will find the visibility of the radar increases.
Yes,
now imagine putting a radar on an aircraft and it is gone up. The AWACS which are now looking around.
Yes, sir.
So they also have control rooms which can control the aeroplanes, your own airplanes, to do whatever action.
So these are the early warning
aircraft. And then you have an AEW aircraft where the entire electromagnetic spectrum is being controlled through these aeroplanes. Air-to-air refuelers.
Yes, sir.
Earlier the fighters could fly only for 40 minutes, 50 minutes operation, 1 hour operation. Now the fighters can remain airborne as long as the pilot is capable.
Yes, sir.
Today we've flown fighters for almost 6 to 8 hours. Single hop operations. That is capable because of your air-to-air refuelers. This particular enabler actually helps you to write a bigger war plan. You don't have to come back, waste time, refuel and then go. Then you have an entire electronic warfare spectrum which is happening around. These are the force multipliers which the Air Force has to go through. Then you have a face of nation. Our aeroplanes have done so much. In 1947, October 47, August we got independence. By October 47, the Pakistanis had moved into Kashmir. We all now these days are aware of it.
Yes, sir.
If the Dakotas, for the first time, had not gone and landed in Srinagar with one Sikh regiment,
Yes, sir.
we would have lost Kashmir.
Yes, sir.
And today we proudly say Kashmir se Kanyakumari tak Bharat ek hai. Maybe we would have saying Pathankot se Kanyakumari tak Bharat ek hai, because Kashmir would have gone.
Yes, sir.
But the Air Force helped save that along with the army.
Yes, sir.
Earthquake and South Africa, cheetahs to be brought in. You're talking about Wuhan virus.
Yes, sir.
Everybody in the month of February 2020, India went into lockdown in March 2020. February 2020, the whole world was scared.
Yes, sir.
We were seeing videos where Chinese were falling off in Wuhan, actually walking on the street and dying.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the Indian Air Force went all the way with their aeroplane to Wuhan,
Yes, sir.
picked up Indian and other nationals
Yes, sir.
and brought them back. Whole lot of them, the entire crew was in PPE kit and came back. Once they came back, they were sanitized for 14 days. Our aeroplane went again somewhere else. Another crew got sanitized for not
Isolated.
quarantine for 14 days. So you can imagine how our Air Force has been functioning all through. We look after all the earthquakes of the world, whether it's in Nepal or anywhere. The Air Force goes everywhere today because we have that reach, we have that capability. We have flown during the second wave, we flew so many million miles that we could have gone across the globe 55 times to move our oxygen cylinders, oxygen and everything all over to save our Indians. We flew down to Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia, Dubai, France, Germany, UK during the second wave. We have been bringing back our citizens wherever the war zone is. Like Ukraine, we flew 3,000. Afghanistan, we flew people back. 1,17,000 people were flown back during Gulf War.
Yes, sir.
From those countries. We have gone and helped Maldives during Cactus operation when they were 88 when they had a coup. We have, Maldives, the water had finished.
Yes, sir.
So our aeroplanes took water from them. Our naval ships went and gave them a lot of water till the time they could lift their head up. Hurricane Katrina, USA, we've gone. Earthquake, Nepal, Sri Lanka. The latest mission which we've done is in Sudan, where we got a window for about 90 minutes. We landed there on an airfield, away in the war zone with no lights, nothing on the airfield, and with night vision goggles, a Hercules landed there and evacuated 121 Indians and came back. So these, with our own Garuds, the Air Force went there. So these are the kind of operations which the Air Force has been doing.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you, we are one of the few countries who have, after a war, created another nation.
Yes, sir.
In 1971, when we did 800 paratroopers out of 50 aeroplanes we dropped inside, which helped Army achieve its mission. And finally, a MiG-21.
You're talking about the
Tangale airdrop.
Yes.
And 1971, in the governor's house, when the MiG, I still remember C779 was a number,
yes, sir,
which dropped the bomb right into the governor's house, which actually broke the backbone, and the Pakistan surrendered, and we created another nation. That is what your Indian Air Force is.